Yeah, I love this. Everybody arriving on time. Fantastic.
Well, yeah.
All right, I'm monitoring to see if anybody else is trying to get in here.
Huh.
Welcome to the guests who will ask you to introduce yourself when we actually start the meeting in 2 minutes.
Oh.
Marty, we sometimes have trouble communicating document format. Did you do all right with what I sent you this time?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I believe I did. And Jacqueline did too. She sent a copy of the agenda, and I don't know, whatever she had sent. She sent another copy of it, so it came both from you and from Jacqueline.
Okay.
Will?
Yes.
This is Pam Boyd. I just had Fran put it up on the website. From your email to me, that's why it's now finally on the website. Because I guess
I always send it to her. So she should have received it before you did. But thank you for doing that in any event. It's kind of part of the protocol that I send it to her.
Well, you know, Fran is gone all week.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that that Christy is gone all week, and I thought your email had her copied on there.
Oh, that's right.
Which is why I figured that's why when I found out that Christy was gone all week, that's why it didn't get posted. And so Fran, I sent her your email, forwarded her your email, and she put it on them a couple minutes ago.
All right. Well, 1 minute to go. We have standing room only today, it looks like, with all the people who are joining us.
I have a question of Hog.
Who are guests here? Just a second. Are any of you who are guests having any trouble with the connection? Are you in your desired mode? Some of you are not in video, and that's your choice, of course. Jillian, I see you're muted, and Barry, are you muted too?
He's not saying anything.
Do you want us to be muted?
For the moment, yes. And Jacqueline, you seem to be muted. All right, we'll begin the meeting here.
Hob, I have a question for you. Maybe we can ask. I can ask it after the meeting.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
just
I'll hang out after the meeting.
Okay, it's just the name of that plant identification software for the phone.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 3 o'clock. And Liz, would you please perform the roll call?
Calhoun.
Present. Scio Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Jacqueline Courteau.
Present. Ames, Story County, Iowa.
Oh.
Alec Jerome.
Well,
I think he's going to be late.
Okay. Marty Mayo.
Marty Mayo here, Scio Township, Washtenaw County.
Tim Redmond.
Don't see him.
Not yet.
Here.
Will Weber. Oh, Tim, are you here? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Tim. Where are you?
Oh, well, I'm right here in Scio Township.
And Will Weber?
Yes, present, Scio Township.
And I am also in Scio Township, Washtenaw County.
All right, thank you. Did we miss anybody on the regular committee? All right, Alec will be here a little late, he said. Next order of business is approval of the agenda, which was, thanks to Pam's effort, apparently published on the Scio Township website. Did the members of the commission all receive the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Any suggested revisions to the agenda?
The minutes that we are approving are regular meeting 192.
Right. 192. Oh, thank you. that is there. All right. Anything else? If we have time, we might insert some discussion of the millage, although that's likely to take some time, and we may postpone that to the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, may I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
Chair,
Uh-oh.
I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as posted.
And revised.
I second it.
And revised, sorry.
All right, made and seconded. Liz, would you call the vote, please?
Hob,
Yes.
Jacqueline,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
I am yes as well. Thank you.
All right. We welcome members of the public. Now, I know maybe a couple of you are here regarding the sustainability project, but are others of you present? And if you'd like to make any comments, no obligation, but if you were so kind as to identify yourselves and your interests, this is your opportunity. Anybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
No one? All right. Well, we'll find out later, perhaps, if you have things.
Well, I saw a hand from Jillian Carey.
Okay, I missed that because I had something else on my screen. Jillian, yes.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thank you for having this meeting. This is my first, I think. I've been attending most of the meetings, recording them for the public, but also just to get to know more about our township. Liz, it's nice to see your face. I have seen you in next door and whatnot. Yeah, so just that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Good.
Welcome.
Jillian. Anybody else want to say a word or two? All right.
I'd like to see Jillian's face. Can
sure.
she put herself on? This is Marty Mayo speaking. I don't know what you look
Hi,
like.
Marty. I don't know if my camera works very well.
If
but-
she'd like to.
I haven't, okay, there. I haven't combed my hair, so I don't know if is my video
Okay,
working?
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Are you out of your pajamas?
Yes, I did get dressed today. Oh, there. Hi.
Oh, you're fine. You're beautiful. Good.
So thank you.
Hi, Jillian. Welcome.
Wait, I have two screens going on, so I don't know where I'm waving, but thank you.
Next item of business is approval of the minutes for regular meeting 192, last month's meeting. Liz, thank you for getting those out in very readable, comprehensible form. Were there any comments or corrections?
No.
All right, there they are. Thank you. The one thing I wondered about for the roll call, I know Tim Redmond was present, but he wasn't noted and in the roll call. Was that because he joined late, Liz? Is that what happens?
That is my mistake.
Okay.
That's a correction. Thank you very much, Will.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
All right. Anything else regarding the minutes? If not, then may I have a motion for approval?
I make such a motion.
I support
With
it.
the correction of adding Tim. Tim, let's not erase Tim. He's important.
And Marty's a support.
Yes.
Okay. Hob,
Yes.
Jacqueline,
I abstained since I was not present.
Marty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes and yes.
Will,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the next item is reports from township boards and commissions. Jacqueline, do you have a Board of Trustees report?
So I submitted a report in writing, which I have requested to be added to the minutes because I know our time is tight. Briefly, I discussed the recent special meeting of the board with a focus on roads. Roads are not obviously central to the work of the LPC, but something we should be aware of as we think about where parcels are. There was an issue of local historic designations, and that's a process that is being used for a property that Scio owns on Liberty Road, and could become a model if we were to do a buy, protect, sell approach. So I think that's something we should pay attention to, and Alec is really the expert on that because his background is in historic preservation, and then Barry has offered assistance on that as well. And then the only other matters are that the BOT has recommended but not required that commissions return to in-person hybrid meetings, and each commission to vote on that. Commission members can continue to participate and vote remotely through the end of 2021 for any reason, and the public, if we were to go to hybrid meetings, could continue also to participate remotely.
We'll pick that matter up under open issues for a little more discussion. Thank you, Jacqueline. Is there anything more?
I have a question for Jacqueline. I hope it's not a surprise question.
Sure, what's that?
Are you able to reveal the proposed conditional use, which property you're talking about?
Sorry, which conditional use?
Your proposed conditional use north of West Scio Preserve was tabled.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's a matter of public record.
Okay. I wasn't sure which parcel you were talking about.
So there's just west of Woodview,
okay,
but north, abutting on Jackson Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a parcel that was rezoned to mixed use, and there was a proposal discussed at the Planning Commission on Monday for a warehouse on that. And the Planning Commission had a lot of concerns about tree protection, about visual and noise buffering. That would be right adjacent to the proposed pathway, but also the proposed residential development at Woodview. And then also some concerns about stormwater discharge, that they would be handling it on site, but any overflow would then go south to wetlands, which would be just north and ultimately flowing into the West Scio Preserve.
Perfect. Thank you for answering my question, Jacqueline.
Yes.
All right. Do we have someone who's familiar with the Planning Commission's efforts?
So that was me, and Hob was actually asking about the Planning Commission report, okay, which I hadn't actually launched into yet. So, and then the other big effort that the Planning Commission is working on is the Task Force on Environmental Sustainability, and I'll just wait until I introduce the interns who will give a brief presentation on that.
Okay. Parks Advisory Board. Bob, are you on that?
They haven't kicked me off yet.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have anything to report?
Let me, yeah, I apologize. I meant to follow Jacqueline, your stellar example and produce a written report. My wife and I are listing our home today. That's all I've been doing is getting ready for photography. So we're happily only moving 3 buildings down from our upper 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo to an upper 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo, but it's taken all of our time this week, so I apologize. Basically, the parks report is very brief. We continue to open our preserves and parks to the public. We now are up to 4 of our preserves and parks with parking lots, some signage, in some cases no signage in others, but with access. And those 4, of course, are the Sloan Preserve on Baker, the Marshall Park Reserve, which we'll talk about the tour that we did of that park last Saturday, later in the agenda. the West Scio Preserve, which is off of Jackson Road, actually adjacent to the Jacqueline, the piece that you were talking about, the mixed use piece, rezoning. And then finally the Liberty Pond nature area, which is will be adjacent to the historic, the 5 acres or 4 acres, whatever it is that you're talking about, that we're hoping to get, or the township is hoping to get historic designation for the farmhouse and the barn. That is basically our report, and we'll talk about some of the tours that Jacqueline proposed, and I'm helping on for future tours, in which will be, and we'll get into the details.
Yep.
August, September, and then probably onwards at monthly for the next year.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone who's familiar with transportation alternatives planning? Any developments there? All right, maybe for the next meeting we can hear an update. Let's go to open issues then. And in fact, Hob, I think you're back on. Just give us a brief rundown as to what happened with the public tour of the Marshall property and a sense of what's coming up.
Great, I'll do that really quickly. We had 18 people respond to the ad, I guess you'd call it, or the announcement in the last newsletter that went out to all of our residents. And we had a great tour. It started out at 10 o'clock at Township Hall. We walked up the Zeeb Road pathway all the way to Marshall Park. We saw the new signage. There's a beautiful sign. If you haven't seen it, if you turn onto Marshall Road from Zeeb, it's on your right, and it marks the entrance of the 10-acre park that the Land Preservation Commission recommended to the Board of Trustees to purchase about 2 or 3 years ago, and they did. And we're very excited about this park. Let's see, did you want me to do the whole, yeah, you want me to do future tours as well?
Just mention, if you would, the dates and where they will be.
Okay, Jacqueline, maybe you can have my back here. I believe the next tour is August 7th. Does that sound right?
That's the correct date. I just don't remember which, I don't have in front of me which site that is.
I remember the, okay, but we'll make a good team here, because I remember.
Actually, that's West Scio.
West Scio, right. So that preserve,
Right.
For everybody is south of Jackson Road, at the end of Dino Drive. So it's easy to find. You drive out Jackson, take a left after the Baker Road light, and you just proceed, well, look both ways, but look right, because you still have a divided highway, and then proceed down Dino Drive in the new parking lot, and hopefully some signage. We keep waiting for our signage that we've designed and this and that to be there. But anyway, you'll see at the very, very end of Dino Drive a parking lot, and that's where the tour will start. One thing I do want to mention, and Jacqueline, you and I can talk later, but the mosquitoes there are pretty fierce. So I think we really need to let anyone know that's signing up for it, they should bring mosquito gear, i.e. netting for their heads, because it's really the only way to, even in the parking lot, the only way to really comfortably see the preserve. The next month, the month of September, I believe maybe the second Saturday.
No, well, right. It's the second Saturday, which is the 11th.
The 11th. Okay, so the second Saturday, which is the 11th, we will be down on West Liberty Road. At the new parking lot there is at the intersection of Wildwood Lane and West Liberty. And if you go too far, you'll go by that historic barn and house, which is at 7970. That's not where we're meeting, so please don't write that down. But if you want to go out there and just preview where the parking lot is, because I don't know how much signage we have on the road yet. Again, it's at the northwest corner, or the northwest quadrant rather, of Wildwood Lane and West Liberty Road. So almost down as far as Parker. And we'll be meeting there, and we'll be doing from 10 o'clock, both Saturdays. It will get you back to your cars by noon. And both tours, we're hoping that many of the Land Preservation Commission members, as well as the Parks Advisory Board members and BOT members will be there to answer the public's questions. We had a lot of interesting questions, some of which Marty, you were able to answer, some of which Liz was able to answer, because really people are not just interested in, what birds or trees are. They have land use issue questions. They have all sorts of questions. How does the township make decisions, et cetera? So really fun, and people have a lot of great questions. So look forward to seeing you on August 7th.
Thank you, Hob. Next, kind of our feature presentation here on sustainability. Jacqueline, would you like to introduce our guests and the program?
Sure, thank you. So the Planning Commission is convening a task force on environmental sustainability to develop a sustainability and climate action plan. We have received interest from a diverse set of residents with skills ranging from on this committee, and we will be selecting a final group at the July 26th Planning Commission meeting. Although if there is anybody who is still last minute interested in serving, you could still submit a letter of interest and a description of your qualifications to Planning Commission Chair Jan Culbertson by July 19th. So I wanted to thank
dropping out there. Jacqueline, want to start again?
Can't hear you, Jacqueline.
Nice
Jacqueline,
musical notes.
are you playing the piano, Jacqueline? If Jacqueline's connection is broken, I know we have, how many people here are prepared to do something on sustainability? Okay, Michelle is here, and Katie, you as well? All right, maybe you, given Jacqueline's inability to get a good connection here, maybe you should just start your presentation.
Yeah, that would be great. I believe Michelle is going to share her screen if she has access to do so.
Yeah, maybe someone could give me co-host access so I can share.
You should have that. Do you not have it?
Let me. Oh, I think I do.
Share screen on
Yep.
the bottom. You see it?
Are you guys seeing my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I guess Katie and I will go ahead and get started. First off, I just want to thank you all for letting Katie and I have the opportunity to discuss with you about the newly forming Sustainability Task Force. We hope that this provides some insight and education into what the purpose of this task force is and the role that it will be playing in helping the township become more climate resilient. So here is an outline of what we will be discussing in our 10 minutes, starting with an overview of Scio's sustainable history, what the task force is, local sustainability plans around us, and we're going to end our presentation with some important upcoming events. If you have a question during the presentation, just make sure you hold on to that until the end when we will have time for some questions. So we'll just go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Michelle Black. I'm originally from Southern Ohio, a big OSU fan. I graduated in 2020 with a BBA from Ohio University, and I'm a second-year master's student at the University of Michigan School for Environment and Sustainability.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Ports. I was born and raised in Ann Arbor, and I went to Texas A&M for my undergrad. I'm happy to be back, and I'm also starting my second year. And because Jacqueline popped off, we are both interning for Scio Township, working on the Sustainability Task Force. And I'm sure once we get to the end here, she can kind of wrap up any other questions that you guys have.
Okay.
So on this next slide here, although it might look a little busy, I'm going to highlight a few things. So this is a great resource for you guys in terms of Scio Township's sustainable history. In the land preservation column in 2004, the LPC land preservation program started up where a 0.5 millage was approved. under the TAP and Pathways column in 2009, the Non-Motorized Path Planning Initiative launched, which began the process for creating the ZEEB Pathway Project. And phase 3, which extends about 400 feet north of Miller Road, will be completed by the end of this summer, which is very exciting. In the upper right here, to date, there's 1,550 acres of land preserved, which are Scio funded. With partners, there's actually a total of 2,700 acres preserved, which is a total of 12.4% of Scio's land. And recently, President Biden just launched a goal of having 30% of land preserved. So Scio is well on its way to meet its goal. And finally, I'd like to wrap up this slide noting that the Van Curler Preserve and Phase 4 of ZEEB Road are to be underway in 2022.
So as Katie walked us through, Scio has done a wonderful job implementing plans that support sustainability. Here are a few of other great things that the township is doing that Katie and I pulled from the master plan. If you briefly read through some of them, you can see that these elements touch areas such as community, transportation, land use, and building and energy. We are planning on the task force building upon this foundation that was already built over the years. So what exactly is the task force? Its formation is part of a 5-year master plan revision currently underway. It's tasked with formulating specific sustainability and climate goals in the form of an environmental sustainability draft plan in 2022. Katie and I spent the beginning of this summer gathering information from surrounding communities to find out what sustainability strategies were implemented to help us benchmark and gain information. We are planning on having the task force identify opportunities and practices for reducing energy use and carbon emissions that benefit the environment. So this diagram here, what we're really trying to show is the interconnectedness of all the township stakeholders and how each part adds their own value to the task force's mission. It is vital that we work in synergy and partnership since we all share different perspectives on what sustainability means to us and how each one contributes to the overall Scio sustainability goal.
Now we're going to go ahead and do a quick overview of the local communities around us that are leading in sustainability. From a broad perspective, the state of Michigan and Washtenaw County have already declared a climate emergency. With doing so, the state created an executive order to make sure all state-owned and operated buildings are carbon neutral by 2050, and Washtenaw County aligned with the city of Ann Arbor to go carbon neutral by 2030 in their owned and operated buildings. So far, Washtenaw County has invested $2.5 million to change their LED at county facilities, and they have stated that they will also have their own climate action plan ready within this year. On the next slide here, we'll focus to our neighbor, the city of Ann Arbor, which created a carbon neutrality plan called A20, which outlines the renewable energy plan and carbon neutrality plan by 2030. This is an increase in non-motorized transport, preserving local natural habitat, and high levels of community involvement, which includes the Ambassador Program, which is actually a very intense 9-week-long training program, and the A20 Week, which promotes local sustainable businesses and has an outline for educational seminars for the community. After analyzing several cities and townships that are listed on the side here, we've come out with a few commonalities. These are moving towards 100% renewable energy, encouraging green buildings, expanding non-motorized transport like paths, bike lanes, and sidewalks, increased EV infrastructure like charging and parking, creating rain and community gardens, preserving high water quality, and educating the community in fun and interactive ways. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Michelle to discuss why the task force is important for Scio Township.
Yeah, so why is this important? Why does this matter? Climate change has far-reaching effects, and we are anticipating that the effects of climate change will become more intense and frequent as time goes on. It has the potential to damage infrastructure and transportation systems, in addition to impacting human health. Communities that include low income, elderly, immigrants, and outdoor workers are particularly vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So it is very important that we take a proactive, active approach, as there are populations in Scio that identify with these communities. So some of the roles we see the staff of Scio taking in the task force are a supportive and engaging role. Sustainability is a group effort, so we need all members of our township to help carry out the task force duties. Identifying opportunities for improvement and offering suggestions are another great role that staff can play. All stakeholders in Scio provide their own unique value that the task force can really use to make the draft plan as holistic and inclusive as possible. Sorry, I went the wrong way.
So this past summer, Michelle and I, along with other Scio Township members, have been doing extensive recruiting to reach out to the community that have interest or specialty in sustainability to actually be on this task force. The task force is forming as we speak, and we have a goal to have our first task force meeting at the beginning of August. And as we've discussed before, one of our big goals for the task force is to have this draft of the environmental sustainability plan done by December of 22. And finally, Michelle, the future task force, and I would like to thank you for your time today and listening to our presentation on Scio sustainability. We really look forward to our future collaboration. So we'll go ahead now and take about 5 minutes for any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you.
So if people can hear me, can you hear me, Will?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry about my internet problems, but thank you so much, Michelle and Katie. The Planning Commission has really appreciated their efforts. And I just wanted to frame this a little to say that, you know, obviously sustainability is not part of our day-to-day work for LPC, and yet at a most basic level, everything we do in preserving land actually engages with this effort, in that, you know, our open space has value not simply for the species, for preserving agricultural land, but also for those many, many climate-related values of sequestering carbon and absorbing floodwater and air and water quality, weather amelioration, noise buffering, dust buffering, many other values. So I just wanted to encourage all of us to keep that sort of background level climate and sustainability link in mind as we move forward with the work. Wanted to say that we welcome everybody's participation, and thank you to Tim for already volunteering to serve on this task force. And then I'll just leave it at that for any further questions in the next 2 minutes, and then the rest I'm happy to discuss it further by email or after the meeting.
Questions? Barry, are you holding your hand up? No. Anybody? How long is this continuing on? Katie and Michelle, are you on a long-term contract to do this? What is your continuing involvement with this program?
Yeah, so we are hired on as interns for this summer to really help create a great foundation educationally with you all, but also doing a lot of research. So once the task force is formed, so that we can present to them all of our findings and our recommendations. So currently we're just building the base this summer for the future task force.
I see.
Yeah, and I would imagine that since you both are involved with the C's school, and the resources available there are plentiful, and that you can bring some of that, you know, into the effort here, eh? Hopefully. And
we have been so lucky to have these two wonderful C's folks with us, because they have already used a lot of the resources and knowledge they've gained in their coursework and in their project work there, and were able to very quickly jump in and start to compile this information for the Planning Commission.
yeah, and I'll just say I appreciate both your participation in this, as Will has said, and overall your efforts, the direction you're heading in. Your generation is the one that's going to either make the big difference that's needed or not. So thanks. My grandchildren, thank you too.
Right. Anyone else? Comment or question?
Good presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely add to that. I mean, it's sort of like a new window opening here in the township to look at this in a systematic way. I remember when I was in college and it was E-Day, the first E-Day, and suddenly the environment came into focus. You know, people didn't understand the concept of environment, and this is like the next order is understanding sustainability as a really important concept. So plaudits to both of you for what you're doing for us, and good luck in your future convincing everyone in the whole world that this is an important concept.
Well, I have a question too. I'm thinking we typically evaluate projects for their value to the township before we make decisions on whether to recommend them. And it seems to me that there should be a set of criteria relating to sustainability that would be added to our evaluation sheet.
Oh, okay.
And you know, that would be one thing that maybe this committee could consider, or the two interns might develop some issues that we could add to just as we evaluate properties.
Oh, good idea. Good idea.
I will say we do have someone likely to serve on the committee who is in natural systems science, and that's he's a U of M C's professor, and that's actually a big part of his specialty. And so I think we will look forward to tapping all kinds of expertise as we move forward to think about, you know, how this should factor in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Further comments here? Well, thank you, Katie and Michelle. Really appreciate the presentation. You're welcome to stay on if you like. We've got a few more things that may relate at least marginally to what you've talked about, but whatever, we're appreciative that you're taking the time to tell us about what you've been doing. Really important work. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie and Michelle.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Right. Next item, really much more mundane and sort of content-free, but the decision about whether we meet in August or not. I think we've tried to load up this meeting with a good deal of business, and we're doing pretty well on time. I guess we can make a final decision at the end. Things hang over, but among those who are present on the call, who are commission members, are there any sentiments either for or against an August meeting that should be expressed here before we decide?
I'm having my 2 cents is that I would be glad to do an August meeting if we have business to do. I will be here. I will be moving.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I feel the same as Hob. If there's business to do, I will be here.
Likewise, myself.
All right. Well, we've got.
I will just say I probably can't be present on that day if we did have an August meeting, but that shouldn't stop. Again, if there's business to do, that shouldn't stop the group.
All right. Well, in a sort of a related matter, as some of you know, the township has come up with fairly detailed information regarding Zoom meetings and face-to-face meetings, at least for the rest of the year. And the reason we didn't go to face-to-face is there was just too much involved in the process of getting ready. So I wanted to poll our group to see, do we have anyone present who knows how to run the audiovisual setup that will be required for future face-to-face meetings at the Township Hall? Does anybody have the training to do that?
No.
All right.
No.
Jessica has indicated that some number of us probably should get that so that we can run it according to what they have decided is the official procedure for the Open Meetings Act. And that will in the future include adding to our agenda a detailed explanation as to how you can participate remotely, what the rules are for non-members participating remotely or in present. So I'll make it my point to go after understanding what that is, so that potentially in a meeting in the near future, whether it's August or September, we'll be able to at least have a hybrid meeting involving your optional presence in the town hall. I polled a couple of you about whether or not we should have this meeting there. And the sense was there's still some reluctance, and I think broadly in the community, about gathering face-to-face with people whom you may not know. So that was a decision why we didn't choose the option today to meet face-to-face in some proportion. But I'll inform you what our progress is in both meeting the criteria that have been established by the Township Board of Trustees, as well as the likelihood our next meeting will include a hybrid model. And I would tell all of you now, it's not going to be an obligation that you show up for a face-to-face meeting. But if none of the members of the commission are interested or willing or desire to show up face-to-face, we may well just go with the Zoom meeting until we're all comfortable, or the Board of Trustees insists that we meet at least partially face-to-face. So that's the story there. I think what we'll do then, according to the suggestions several of you made, is that we'll see where we are at the end of our meeting today, if there's business hanging over. And in fact, we can go the next couple weeks if Barry or Jacqueline or Alec detect there's particular information that needs to be acted upon in August, we will do so. But if there's not, I will inform everyone well in advance that there is or is not going to be a meeting. Any questions about that or opinions to offer? Everyone comfortable with that approach to things? No, it's okay. That's all we need. Next is our consultants report. Barry, things that are for the public session. Would you like to take over?
Gladly. And I'm going to share a screen here.
Just for those present who may not know, Barry Lonik is the consultant to the Land Preservation Commission. He's been doing a great job for how many years, Barry? 6 years already? 7 years? 8 years?
That I've been the consultant?
Yeah.
Since day one, man, which goes back to 2004.
2004. Wow, 17 years. Okay, Barry is a font of wisdom when it comes to what's going on here with preservation in our township. Go ahead, Barry.
I'm trying to find the closed minutes now on my screen so I can share that. And of course, I'm not finding it.
Open minutes. We're on the project update.
Barry, are you looking for open or closed? I think it's still open.
We're still in open session.
Yeah, the open session, which is the oh, here we go. Got it. There we are. Okay, so starting at the top there with the bulleted items, there are now raspberries for you pick out at the Honeybee Farm, which is the Andrews Trust Farm over on South Church Road. So I encourage you to go out and pick some raspberries over there.
Barry, just a comment. We were out there over the weekend, and they're pretty thin at this point.
Not anymore.
Strawberries are gone.
Will, not anymore. There are buckets full.
Really?
Yes, they've come in.
When were you there?
Today.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good news.
I'm there every day, and they are really amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
and
thank you.
It's been mowed, so it's a lot easier to get around in there.
Good.
Cool. It's just it's such a great success story, and want to encourage people to get out there and enjoy some of the literal fruits of our labor. There's been some great pictures that have been showing up on the Township Farm Facebook page with people out there, picking strawberries and raspberries, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I'll mention here in a moment. Well, I guess I'll do it now. That the Kidder purchase by County Parks concluded a couple of weeks ago, and so I updated all of the tables that I maintain in terms of the preserved acres and who put in what money and what percentages in open space and natural features, all that kind of stuff. That was part of my packet that I sent out to everybody. I can go into that if you want to, but I just wanted to alert you that all those tables have been updated. And as Katie and Michelle said, we're just shy of 1,500 acres that's been preserved through the millage program. And we're over 12% of the land area between what we've done through the land preservation program and then, of course, the metro parks and U of M properties and all the rest of the preserved lands around. So making a big dent out there, and hopefully we'll get to 30% someday. Working on the quarterly report as well. Still got one last thing to do for that, and then I will share that with with you all as well as the board of trustees. But that's something that I do every quarter, just to give the board an update on what we're working on, what's been accomplished so far. And I just want to keep putting the millage renewal idea out there. We don't have to discuss that today, but we may want to put that on the ballot again in November of 2022. In terms of projects, the Andrus Trust project hit a little stumbling block. I recognize that the appraised values of the two areas that will be subject to the conservation easements is different from what we put into the purchase agreements and the mortgages for those properties. And of course, we closed on those the sales of the property to the Andrus Trust way back in March of last year. So that's 16 months ago or so. Not having an appraisal in hand at that time, but working on other recent sales and an estimate of value at that time, which was pretty darn close in the end. For the east parcel, the 80 acres there, the estimate was for $900,000 for the value of the conservation easement. The actual value was $888,000. And for the west 80 acres, the estimated value was $800,000, and it came out to be, in the appraisal, $820,000. So I had a chat with our attorney, Joe Fazio, about that a couple of weeks ago, and we agreed that the proper course of action was for him to draft amendments to both the purchase agreements, both of them, and the mortgages for both of those two pieces that specify $800,000 and $900,000, and to instead insert the numbers from the appraisals. So Joe is now in the process of drafting those documents, and I'll be getting back with him either tomorrow or first of next week. And then we'll be sharing those with the Andrus Trust, and everybody should sign those, and so we have the accurate numbers, and then we can proceed with the easement purchases from there. So I think that's one thing that the LPC can today recommend to the Board of Trustees, and that is that Will Hathaway, as the supervisor, sign those amendments to the two purchase agreements and the two mortgages. That makes sense to everybody.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It does also appear that that the daughter who's been living in the house for 30 years is, in fact, moving out. Her date is July 23rd. So we closed on the purchase on July 24 of 2019, and we gave her 2 years to move out of the house. And I know that there's been sales and moving and indications that she's on her way out. I'm going to ask Will to follow up with her first of next week just to make sure that we're on target for that. But that's next Friday is when she's supposed to be out. And that will then trigger several things. The first is that the deed to that 2.5 acres that has the house and the barn and the other buildings is in escrow as we speak at the title company. That deed will then be recorded so that that part of the property will be in Township's ownership. The second thing that will happen is that the title company's been holding $100,000 of our original $2.3 million purchase price for that 2.5 acres. They've been holding that in escrow also. And the transfer of the deed to the township will trigger the release of that $100,000 to the April trust. And then finally, the option agreement that we have with the Andrus Trust to flip the property to them will come into play. And that's something that's on my list of things to do, to review what needs to be done there. My recollection is that we need to notify the Andrus Trust that the property has come into our ownership, and that they need to exercise their option as specified in the option agreement, providing us with notice, and there's a means of doing that, that they actually want to proceed with the transfer of the 2.5 acres to the Andrus Trust. So all that will be happening here in the next few weeks.
Barry, is there action required for us to approve Fazio's amendments to the purchase agreement? Or is that something that is just, a matter of course and no action is necessary by the commission?
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure, and so I thought, just to be safe, let's go ahead. You all should make the recommendation to sign the amendments. And I don't have those in hand yet, but you understand what the idea is. We're just going to change some numbers around. There's nothing else that's going to change.
So you're suggesting that perhaps in this meeting we make that recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
It could be done at the conclusion of this little presentation on the open session.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions about that? Okay, moving on to the Delhi Woods Estates property. I emailed Tom Burnham for the last couple of days and got the response that you see there. He's hired the Varnum firm in Grand Rapids to remember there's one outstanding mortgage on the property that has to be subordinated to the conservation easement. And as he said, it's in process. It's slow, but it's moving along. So hopefully that will come together sometime soon. But that's his responsibility to clear the title so that we can engage in the purchase of the easement on that property. And then finally, as I said earlier, the county parks purchase of the Kidder property, the 13 acres on the east side of the preserve, was concluded on June 23rd, and that was a joint project between the county, the City of Ann Arbor Greenbelt Program, and Scio. So we've just increased the acreage of that preserve, the very popular preserve, to I think it was just shy of 100 acres previously. So we're well over 100 acres now, probably 110 acres or so. So a great collaborative project on that one. And so with that in place, I updated all the tables with all of our numbers. So one action item, and that's on the Andrus Trust property.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion, which should be something in the form of, we recommend that amendments to the sales agreement and mortgages for the Andrus Trust property as being drafted by Attorney Fazio be signed by the Board of Trustees? Is that who signs it?
The supervisor, yes.
The supervisor of Board of Trustees. We have so I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Yes, I will.
Will and Marty.
All right.
Hob? Hob?
Are you muted, Hop?
He is muted, yeah. Hob, are you there? Okay, I'm gonna go, I would, we losing? Okay, let's go on to Marty.
Yes.
Oh, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Tim?
Tim? You're muted, Tim.
You're muted.
Hey, guys, get with it.
Tim, is that a yes?
Yeah, I think he said yes. He motioned.
Okay, and Will?
Yes.
And yes for me. Thank you.
All right, it passes in the absence of Hobbs' vote.
Has Hob left the meeting?
No,
Well, his screen is blank. We'll just presume he's coming back.
No.
All right, Eric, is there any more then for the open session?
No, although I did have one question. It's kind of a new business item, or maybe it's old business at this point, and that is, has there been any movement toward identifying a new member for the LPC?
I wonder if that's as a personnel matter, is that perhaps a closed session discussion?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
There was a allusion to that fact. Jacqueline, you're muted. Do you have anything you can share?
You know, I know in the meeting minutes, I saw that Alec had discussed that last time, and I think he is the person who knows more about that at this point than I do. So I would just say we need to have that conversation with him. And we'll put out a general call again. So anybody who wants to recommend someone, I don't know if the township can put that out on the website as well.
We have one open position. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, which is an important one to fill so that we are assured of a quorum for circumstances where some of us may not be able to attend. All right, I guess then we'll take a motion to go into closed session. And for Jillian, Barbara, and Pam, this is a normal procedure where only the commission members and our consultant are present to discuss pending matters that are not yet available for public revelation or discussion. So we'll ask the three of you to leave. Thank you for attending. We invite you to come back again next month if we meet.
Thank you, Will. If you would be so kind, if you want to send me a blurb for your open position, I now have that as a topic in my newsletter to give to residents, and my resident newsletter has greatly increased in its circulation, and so as a support to the township, I am adding that in. If you guys have vacancies, I will be happy to advertise it.
Pam, would you just tell us a little bit about your newsletter, what your conception is for its purpose, and how it came about, and what your objectives are?
Sure. Well, it came about because I realized that most of my neighbors are very busy doing other things, but that there are parts of the township that we all want to be aware of, in particular roads and what's affecting our postage stamp size of the neighborhood. So like all the way down to the Liberty Zeeb roundabout, I went to the road commission meetings, and I've been keeping abreast of that, and so I report on that. I mentioned in one or two newsletters ago about the Marshall Park tour, and so my newsletter this week will talk about the Scio West August 7th tour coming up. And so I've got different sections, different headings. I don't have one in front of me. What affects our neighborhood specifically? We had a attempted child abduction in May, and so that went out. And so it's various topics. I added a obituary section because we had a neighbor pass away 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it is a community newsletter, and I go to all the township meetings and I report, you know these little things about. I talked about the awesome finding of the heron rookery. Now, I know it's a secret, and I won't let those secrets out. But in fact, I don't even know where it's at. But I announced it and mentioned how cool that was. That we have this. We're one of 3 in Washtenaw County And so it's become a passion. And I'm just getting just a ton of really good feedback. I've had 10 people this week alone ask to sign up for it in my neighborhood. So,
how can we sign up and subscribe to your newsletter?
oh, I will, if you want to find out who wants to be on, just shoot me an email of their email addresses and that they're from your committee, and I will make sure it's a weekly publication, and it goes out either Sunday or Monday, depending on when the planning commission meeting is, because I like to give people, I also tell you what meetings are coming up this week in case anybody wants to attend, although I don't think I've seen anyone but my neighbor Rob Pattinson come to any meetings, but you know, we can always hope. So yeah, I'd be happy to add you all on.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
And what is your neighborhood? Where is your neighborhood?
I am in the neighborhood directly across from Township Hall and the Road Commission. So
Okay.
I am the solar panel house on Linden Lane. So that is me. And so, yeah, I'm just off of Stonegate.
Okay.
So, all right, you all have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to make a motion, Chair,
Please.
that we go into closed session.
Thank you.
I'll support.
All right.
Pat,
Yes.
Jacqueline,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
and yes for me.
You have to specify the reason for doing it, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there is a reason for it. To discuss projects, status of projects that are not yet public.
Right. I see we still have Jillian present. Jillian, can you hear me? I know you're muted, but we will kindly request that you leave our meeting at this point. What can I do?
Do we have any control over that?
We can log on again.
Let's see. What I guess is maybe there's the computer's on and there's nobody present. I don't know if
Do we need to, Chair, do we need to leave this meeting and come back in?
I'm looking here. I'm seeing a chat, start video, make host, co-host, rename. I can't really throw.
We'll need to stop, end this meeting, and then all log in again.
I think that's the strategy.
You think so? All right.
All right.
Sorry for
Bye.
the disruption here. Jillian, one last chance. Are you able to hear us and to leave the meeting? All right, let's just end it and everyone understand. Use the link to come back on.
Thank you.